Hey guys, it's Pete again. This time we're going to be going over grab game on fast fallers. A lot of this stuff will apply to all fast fallers, but sometimes Falcon has special exceptions. When this is the case, I'm going to mention it. There will also be a small section on Falcon towards the end. First, I'm going to go over down throw options and then up throw, but let's not waste any more time in the intro and just get right into it. So let's start out with Old Faithful, down throw jab. The primary purpose of down throw jab is to be a tech trap. If they try to tech the down throw, then they're going to miss the tech on the jab. And if they wait to tech for jab, then they're going to miss the tech on the down throw. This means that in order for this to work with any degree of consistency against good players, you need to mix up down throw jab with other down throw tech chase options. Otherwise, they're just going to be expecting it, and they're going to do the right tech every time. At very low percents, jab won't actually knock down. This means that you can do down throw jab to regrab or down throw jab to down tilt. Down tilt after jab is really nice because it usually knocks down pretty early and people tend to tech it in place, which leads to a down smash. Obviously, none of these confirms are true though. In general, you're not really going to be getting a whole lot of true follow-ups at low percent, it's just kind of how it is. At anything that isn't a very low percent, jab will knock down. Assuming that you tech trapped them correctly, then you have a few options here, but the most optimal punishes are stomp and fair. If you stomped their missed tech, you get a combo. This stomp can lead into fair most obviously, but at lower mid percents you can also regrab off the stomp to begin this sequence anew. At higher percents, you can fair the missed tech for a kill or an edgeguard scenario. It is worth noting that if your opponent DIs the jab away, it sometimes becomes impossible to reach them with a stomp in time. In this case, the only thing that will reach them is a forward air. You should practice reacting to this so that you don't miss your punishes. That's pretty much it for down throw jab though. It's your most bare bones tech trap and a cornerstone of your game plan. But as we discussed earlier, it won't tech trap unless you don't use it every time. So now let's go over how to tech chase when you're not going for down throw jab. When you down throw and don't jab, your go-to option should be down smash. You should be charging the down smash and reacting to their tech or miss tech to time the release so that it either hits the bounce on miss tech or the tech in place. If you do this correctly, this covers 3 out of 4 options on the stage and 4 out of 4 options in the corner and on platforms. On the stage, the one option this does not cover is tech away, which you will have to hard read with a running fair. Because players are holding way for their tech, you can sometimes catch them DIing pretty terribly, but this is by no means anything that you should count on. A lot of players will default to this option since it tends to give Ganon less reward and people are scared of Ganon in general, so you'll probably have to beat it out of them early on in the set so you can get more juicy follow-ups off down smash later. Fortunately, as I stated earlier, there are situations where down smash covers all options, those being when you're on platforms or if you're in the corner. On platforms, their tech rolls are restricted, which means tech away makes them end up in the same place as tech in place or miss tech. You can react to this and release your charge down smash at the right time to blow them up for it. And of course, down smash still covers no tech, tech in place, and tech behind as normal. In the corner, the same thing happens. Because you're facing the corner, they can't tech away, so you can cover every option here as well. Just watch out for slight DI making second hit down smash not connect. So yeah, about that slight DI thing I mentioned, it's the one thing that really sucks about down throw down smash. All the scenarios I just talked about were ideal scenarios where the opponent starts teching right on top of the first hit of Ganon's down smash, which puts them at the perfect spacing for it to cover as many options as possible, but that only happens on certain DIs. If they slight DI your down throw, then they'll actually start their tech close enough to you to escape the second hit of down smash if they roll behind. This especially happens often against Falco due to his longer tech roll. When this happens, you unfortunately need to cover tech behind with a hard read. But wait, what's this? Yeah, so a little addendum to this video actually. We actually figured out the counterplay. So the optimal way to deal with this is to react to their slight DI with a pivot down smash. Of course, given that their percent allows for reacting to DI that quickly with something as technical as pivot down smash to actually be humanly possible. This was invented by the current best solo Ganon main in Europe, Kikomen, who, by the way, if you can't already tell, is absolutely fucking cracked, and you should definitely check out his combo videos.
Link in the description, by the way.
Anyways, the idea is pretty simple. You react to the slight DI and pivot down smash to ensure the spacing on down smash is correct again. In practice though, this is super hard, but definitely more consistent than doing a hard read if you have the actual technical execution to hit this. Now with that out of the way, let's get back to what I was talking about. So, what should you do when down smash connects? Well, there are two possibilities here. Either both hits connect, or you get a second hit only. Let's go over what happens when both hits connect first. When both hits connect, the opponent will get popped up. Your follow-up depends heavily on percentage and DI here. At low percents, it's optimal to regrab them and to start another tech chase to extend your combo for more damage. At middle percents, you can start a combo off of this. You can do things like nair to forward air, or you could no impact land on a platform for a tech chase regrab. At higher percents, you can forward air or tipper bear them for a kill. And yes, back air does have a sweet spot, in case you didn't know that. When second hit only connects, you have less options. At a lot of percents, it won't net you any follow-ups, as it will send them pretty far at a weird angle, but this does sometimes set up for an edge guard. At low percents, second hit only lets you do something that's equal parts optimal and cool looking. You can just stand still and regrab off the second hit. The opponent will fly right into your loving arms and you can begin your down throw mix-ups again. Now, remember that what you're doing is mixing up between whether you're jabbing or tech chasing them on the ground. One other great tool for this is regrabbing them into an instant buffered down throw. This serves a similar purpose as down throw jab. Just like how if they try to tech the down throw on down throw jab, then they'll miss the tech on jab. If you down throw them and then regrab an instantly buffer down throw without pummeling, you can also tech trap them. If they try to tech the first down throw, then they'll miss their tech on the second down throw. Now, due to the similarity in tech timings that this has to down throw jab, it's better to use this differently than down throw jab, because if you do that in the same way, then it won't actually really have any functional difference from down throw jab. I find that this is used optimally in one of two ways. The first is to do several regrabs in order to discombobulate them before letting them attempt to tech. This is quite hard to perform and usually requires DI reads and is thus not as consistent. A more consistent way to implement this is after a small pop-up at lower percentages. At any point in the earlier strings where you would get the opponent to pop up, such as stomping a missed tech or both hits of down smash connecting, you can occasionally do this option by running up and doing an instant buffer down throw to trick them into missing tech right in front of you, which will net you a free stomp. But what if you do have the read? What's the optimal punish then? Well, this depends on the percent, but in general your two most common options will be fair or stomp. At high percents you should forward air them to put them off stage, and at lower percents you should stomp to continue a combo. Also, DI is very important here. Just like with down throw jab, if the opponent DIs away and techs away, then you can only reach them with fair. But if they DI behind and tech through you, then stomp will reach. Always be mindful of their DI so that you can recognize scenarios in which they won't roll too far for stomp to reach. There are, of course, other more niche options that may be situationally better than stomp and fair. For example, because of Falcon's slower roll, you can hard read his tech away with a running down smash. You can also tech chase with a regrab if you have the read, but in general these are usually inferior options to just a simple forward air or stomp. Alright, so we've got all of those tech traps out of the way. Now let's talk about actual true follow-ups to down throw, things that are guaranteed. First up, and this is just something we have to talk about right away, is the Chaingrab. This works against Fox and Falco, but it does not work against Falcon. Kind of. You see, you actually do have a pseudo 50-50 DI mix-up Chaingrab on Falcon, and that will have its own section later in the video, but for now we're going to talk about the true and guaranteed Chaingrab on Spacies. Now, these Chaingrabs start from a very low percent and actually go up to an absurdly high percent, usually around 250 to 300. So you're probably wondering, why doesn't Ganon just always Chaingrab Spacies then? Well, it's because doing so is extraordinarily difficult. These Chaingrabs are difficult to the point that, while they are technically possible, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that without an extreme amount of practice, they are not viable until mid-high percentages. But you can definitely start doing these earlier if you regularly practice it. So first up is Fox. Starting up for DI away. You can regrab Fox with a standing grab from 34% all the way up until 65%. Continuing with DI away, you can jump cancel grab Fox from 66% to 115%, and past 116% you need to use dash grab. Still with Fox, for DI behind, from 34% to 70%, you simply do a turnaround grab. From 70 to 130%, you need to do a jump cancel grab behind. And from 131% onwards, you do a turnaround dash grab behind. Now for Falco. On DI away, the Chaingrab starts at 12% and goes till 40% with just standing grab. From 41% until 110%, you need to do a jump cancel grab. From 111% onwards, you do a dash grab. And for DI behind, it goes from 12% to 65% for a simple standing turnaround grab, 66% to 125% for jump cancel grab, and 126% onwards is a dash grab. In order to end either of these chain grabs, you can either continue the chain grab up to a high enough percent where down throw back air will kill, or an earlier percent where down throw forward tilt will kill. And you can also hard read DI behind and do up throw tip or back air for a kill as well. Now, speaking of down throw forward tilt, one thing I actually really like to do for quote-unquote early kills is a DI mix-up with forward tilt. Well, yes, it is true that once they reach the chain grab percent, you can continue the chain grab to death. There are some confounding factors there. As discussed, the chain grab is ludicrously difficult. Also, platforms can get in the way, especially low platforms on Fountain of Dreams. This gives you an incentive to end the chain grab as early as possible while still securing the kill. And this is a great way to do that. When the opponent reaches a percent where you can reasonably react to their DI, you can begin to chain grab them. Because they will be DIing your chain grab behind in an attempt to get out, you can simply end your chain grab early with a down throw forward tilt and catch them DIing horribly and have them sent very far off stage to either flat out kill them or set up for an edge guard. Alright, so now we're going to talk about Ganon's Upthrow. In general, this move isn't anything super special, especially when we're talking about fast fallers. Unlike down throw, you don't get much out of it, and it's far more situational in almost every single regard. One thing that Upthrow does have going for it is that it's weight independent. Whereas Ganon's down throw changes speed depending on the character he's throwing, his Upthrow is always the same animation speed whether he's throwing the lightest or the heaviest character in the game. Now, one may initially think that this property would make it great for setting up tech chases in a similar manner to how Falcons use Upthrow for that purpose. Unfortunately for us though, we're just too slow to capitalize on this property of the move. While Upthrow does set up for down-smash tech coverage on DI behind and on no DI, on DI away, we just simply can't reach the fast faller in time to do this. So does Upthrow just suck then? Well, kinda yeah. But this move is actually situationally godly, and these situations are at high percents and or when platforms are involved. So the first thing that Upthrow is really good at is confirming into kills on the DI read. If fast fallers DI behind you, then Upthrow sets up for a tip or back air kill. It's easy to have people preconditioned for this because most people know that Ganon's throw options are more difficult when you have to react to DI behind, so your opponents are going to be very likely to be DIing behind on a lot of your throws already. This means, of course, that you can occasionally, at high percent, just use Upthrow, and you're gonna get a back air kill most likely. I know that some Ganon players are a fan of Upthrow forward smash in this situation, but I personally believe that this option is rather inferior because it is a quite tight timing window and it's really easy for the opponent to escape. So this is where platforms come into play. If Upthrow has follow-ups on DI behind but nothing at all on DI away, then we can simply cover DI away with a platform. As a rule of thumb, when my opponent is at high or mid percent and I grab them while facing a platform, I always Upthrow them. As discussed previously, DI behind nets a punish, and in this case, DI away nets another punish in the form of a platform tech chase. So this way, you cover all options. So what's the best way to go about the platform tech chase? Well, old reliable is simply tech chasing with an up air. On bad DI, this can lead into up air strings that carry them off stage for an edge guard or a forward air for a kill. If you believe you have the read, you could also use up smash to kill off the top, or convert into an aerial for a kill or an edge guard. You could also attempt to go for some crazy Nair 1 follow-ups here. There are a lot of these, so I'm not going to really delve into the details of them, and they probably will be an entire video on their own at some point. But it's safe to say that when you have your opponent on a platform, you can do some really crazy shit if you catch them DIing in with neutral air 1. Now, my other favorite option is no impact landing on the platform and tech chasing them. This is usually done best after using any of these previous options a few times, because this will condition the opponent to be expecting them, and they're going to try to put their shield up after their tech or their wake up on the platform. When they do this, you can do a no impact land or a wave land onto the platform and grab them to start your throw game again. From this point, you pretty much just get to recycle your knowledge from earlier. Once you have them grabbed on the side platform, you can choose which throw to use based on the conditions of the match. 9 times out of 10, what you're going to be looking for here is using down-throw down-smash to cover all options, but sometimes you'll grab them on the edge of the platform, which gives them the opportunity to DI so that they won't land on the platform. In this scenario, you can do a run-off neutral air 1 to forward air to secure a kill. Of course, if you're cracked, and depending on the percent, you can do farther follow-ups and extensions off of this neutral air, some of which are incredibly impractical but look very, very cool. To be honest, this section is only here because I kinda wanted to flex these combos I labbed out, so it goes without saying that you should probably stick to neutral air 1 to forward air if you're looking to actually win. Also, depending on where you grab them, it is possible to recycle the Upthrow DI trap utilizing the top platform this time. Tech chasing your opponent from the ground all the way up to the top platform for a kill is both as satisfying as it is optimal. Pussy. In fact, what I just talked about can be put together into a flowchart. Now, this does look rather schizophrenic, and trust me, the first version of this chart didn't look any better. But I assure you, it will be very easy to follow if you have paid attention to the rest of the video thus far. So without further ado, let's dive into this chart. This chart was originally made for use against Falcon, but most of these concepts will apply to other fast fallers like Fox and Falco. It's just that this works best against Falcon, and the reason for that is just because Falcon's trajectory from throws happens to be better suited for platform tech chasing than Fox and Falco, and works at a wider range of percents. Also, apologies if it looks a little jank in places. I only realized after making it that Miro doesn't let you download full resolution images of your flowchart unless you pay a fee. So I spent like half an hour to 45 minutes stitching together like 40 smaller images of sections of it, which of course kept downloading in different resolutions because they were all off by like a pixel or two, so I had to scale them and remove all this artifacting. Imagine trying to do a jigsaw puzzle, but you have cataracts and were injected with a near-lethal dose of muscle relaxants. That was what this experience was like. I mean, look at this shit. Does this look like what I wanted to do when I made this video? This is stupid as fuck. I'm never using Miro for anything ever again, as long as I live. Okay, so now let's actually start looking at the chart. To start off with, you get a grab. No surprises here. Now you need to evaluate your positioning relative to the platforms. If you're facing away from the platform, you down throw. If you're facing towards the platform, you up throw like previously discussed. If they DI down throw away, you get a regrab and go back to the start of the flowchart. If they DI up throw in, you get a regrab and go back to the start of the flowchart. When you get that grab, you are going back to the start of the flowchart, so you need to reevaluate your positioning relative to the platform yet again, and choose the next throw accordingly. For example, if you regrab them after DI in on Upthrow, then you are likely going to be facing away from the platform for the next example, and should down throw this time instead. Now again, starting from the initial condition, if they DI down throw behind, they will land on the platform. And if they DI up throw away, then they will land on the platform. Now that they've landed on the platform, you can perform a platform tech chase. This lets you use all the stuff we talked about previously, but now you actually get to put it into this flowchart. At the beginning of the match, you can get an up air string that leads to an edge guard and optimally death. As we discussed previously, this conditions them to shield on wake up, or try to do other options when landing on the platform that allow you to begin utilizing no impact land or wave land onto the platform and grabbing them. So now that you've grabbed them on the platform, you again have to reevaluate your positioning relative to the platforms. If you've grabbed them in the center of the platform, then you can do Dthrow Down-smash to cover all tech options. Now, for all the other cases, the flowchart gets extremely long and complicated. As such, I've run into burnout when making this video, and it ended up sitting in purgatory for a really long time. Therefore, I've decided to put the rest of the flowchart into its own video while leaving you with the main takeaways I've already discussed. I think that this information alone will already be a massive help to most Ganon players, and I will link the flowchart in the description of this video if you just can't wait for the next part. The flowchart has also been posted and discussed in detail in the Ganon R&D Discord server. If you have questions about it, feel free to stop by and ask. I'll put the link to that in the description of this video as well. But until then, I hope you have enjoyed part 1 of Ganon's grab game on Fast Fallers.